Hey, everybody. Welcome to our webinar tonight. We're just going to hang out for a quick minute while we get this PowerPoint up and let people trickle in so we get to start together. So I'm going to share this screen here. And for those of you that I have never met, I'm Dr. Diane Mueller. It's great to meet you guys. I'm really excited. I've been doing some of these webinars to collaborate and to let people know about Mike Cole, who's sitting here next to me, who's been doing a lot of marketing and SEO stuff for me and that sort of thing. So he's been a huge part of what we're going to talk about today, which is lead generation. And hi, Heather. So glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everything was well with you and your show your stuff last night. And all right, let's get started. So I will let Mike kind of lead things here, and we're going to jump right in. I'm going to first intro this though too, because the point of tonight, and please, 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 let's start this off right. Please post in the chat couple things I would love to see from everybody is, and I just turned the chat on. So a couple of things I would love to see from everybody is where you're from and what you want to learn tonight, because we want to make sure that we can build this out for the people that show up live as much as possible. And so let's get that in the chat right now. So if you guys want to do that, and then we'll get started on the rest of everything. While you guys are doing that, here's what we're going to basically focus on tonight. So the focus of tonight is lead gen, right? Because one of the reasons why Mike and I wanted to do this and have this conversation for you guys is something that I hear come up a lot from people, my colleagues, which is like, oh, great month. I'm so excited. I hit my new goals. This is going to be so awesome. And then the next month, it's like, oh crap, like phones ringing less, people are converting to patients yet less. And I feel like one of the most stressful things as an entrepreneur is like this yo-yo, right? Around like, okay, lead generation coming in. And if we are not at a point where we are filling up our practice, and if we don't have a waiting list, it's so easy to go through this yo-yo of business growth. So really the way I look at, and the way that Mike looks at this whole pyramid of business and marketing is almost like we're looking at here. So we're going to go through this in more detail, but to set the frame tonight, the number one foundational thing at the bottom is, can people find you, right? Can people find you? Do you have enough people making it to your website that are actually, able to know you exist? And then the next thing is, do they easily know what you offer, right? So if they come to your website and you're like, I do functional medicine, and they're like, I have a goiter or I have bloating. Like, well, this person does, I don't, it's like the average person probably doesn't know what functional medicine is. So you get to the website and like, do they easily know you fix their bloating, right? Do they easily know the first step? It's like I've seen so many websites where you get to the website and it's like, okay, well, we're educating, but what is the first step? Are you literally telling them exactly what to do to get started? Right. So we're doing this foundation. So everything is like, do they know what you offer? Do they know the plan? But the very first thing we have to have, none of these other things work. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make when I talk to colleagues is we get really excited about the opt-in. We get really excited about the beautiful picture we're going to put on our website. We get really excited about some sort of special thing we're doing, our book being launched, all these things, and all those things are awesome and they're perfect and we need them. But if people can't even find them to begin with, that's why that has to be that foundation, because we want to do all those other things. But if we don't have this foundation of actually laying out and having a lead generation magnet where it's like somebody types in goiter and you are the first person that pops up, right? Somebody types in bloating and boom, they're on your website. If people can't initially do that thing that finds you, to find you, all those other things, all the beautiful pictures that are of your avatar, all those lead magnets, all those things, actually do not do anything. And so lead generation, yay, that's why you're here, Heather. Hooray. Hi, Allison. Oh, Allison, great to see you too. So many friendly faces tonight. Learn all you can about marketing and business. Okay, you treat ADHD in kids and other psych disorders. So thank you everybody for posting this. And Juliana, that's also some of what I'm talking about here too, is like, it's so easy. Like if I were to go to your website, and we're going to give examples later, so feel free to post your websites in here, because the biggest thing is like, okay, first, can people find you, right? And then Juliana, if I go to your website, like my biggest thing is like, is it going to be very clear when we go to your website? Is Mike, as an SEO marketing expert, is he going to be very clear? He goes to your website, because you're going to work with him, for example. Is he going to be able to go to your website and be like, oh yeah, this person does ADHD. I know what this person does. He's not he's not a doctor, right? He's not a clinician. So more in like somebody that is not a doctor, are they going to be able to know without sifting through the information what you do? All right, so that's my little pitch intro here. And so this is basically just to kind of orient you to how we're focused today. A lot of our time today is going to be focused on this: can people find you? How do you get more leads? Because that's where we're seeing that is the biggest foundational problem, right? It's like these good months, these bad months, this yo-yo thing. The number one first foundation thing we have to get is literal more traffic to your website. So that's like mistake number one, foundation number one. So we're going to talk about some of these other things later on in the webinar, so make sure you stay till the end. But mistake number one is where Mike's going to focus a lot today, because if people can't find you, if people can't find your website, none of this other stuff matters. And that's where you really get into that crazy yo-yo.
What's up, everybody? So yes, I'm gonna be going over to the aspect of digital marketing. And if you get out your phone, you can do a quick search on your niche, and you type in, my let's say not that, my thyroid doctor near me, or whatever your niche is. Are you on the first page of Google? No, I mean, most people actually don't actually get up on the first page. There's a limited amount of real estate. So believe it or not, you can pay your way, the first 10, 20%, you can actually pay ads and get your way up there. The next down is the biggest piece you can see down there. 60 to 70% is coming from Google Maps when you're doing a search. So how you get on there? So there's like over 100 different ways, and that's kind of my job, is to help Dr. Diane and other clients to rank on the top, the top page of Google. Just to give you an example, let's see if I can get this pull the browser. I'm using her laptop, so I'm gonna pull up a browser, do a quick.
Pull up a browser and then we'll screen share again. Here you go.
Give me Google. So just to give you an example of Google, if you type in Lyme Doctor Colorado, Lyme Doctor Matt. And
let me share the screen again. They're not shared yet. Hold on, let me share the screen.
Share the screen.
There you go.
And lo and behold, guess who's number one on Google for that, for Google Maps. So she is actually the very first entry in the account, page one, but not only page one, but the very first entry on Google. So we should change that. We should share that. So, but my question for you guys is, what are you guys ranking? Can you guys put in the chat? Are you guys even on the first page?
So, and just to make sure you guys are understanding the assignment. So essentially what he's saying is, if you type in, like for that, he typed in Lyme Doctor Colorado, right?
Colorado Lyme Doctor.
Right. So essentially what he's saying is like, okay, let's say you're a specialist in thyroid. You would then type in Thyroid Doctor Colorado or Thyroid Doctor Tennessee or wherever you're from. And you want to make sure you're ranking right there, because anytime types in, that's like the number one of the number one searches, and anybody who types that in, guess who gets the business?
And money in a pocket. So yes, and then so that's just to give you an idea. So you guys put in the chat, which if you guys are you guys even ranking on page one? So and that covers the Google Maps on the phone. is the most search query. For example, whatever doctor, whatever near me, whatever Lyme doctor, whatever niche you are near me, or city is the #1 search in Google, all of Google. So if you're not getting that, your clients can't find you. Your prospective people, your patients that looking for you. If you're not on page 1, you're just losing business and throwing money out the door. So most people are not actually doing this or have a strategic plan. And what most people's plans, I would say, is like, okay, we're going to write a blog, and that covers the bottom 20 to 30% is writing blogs and content to get people to view the blog articles. And so the way to go about it is to actually have a plan. For instance, if you were to type in just doctor near me, you're going to get slammed. It's too competitive. So what you need to do is get down to what people are looking for that you offer. And that's the bottom 20 to 30% to get ranked on first page of Google. Just awesome.
Julie.
Good job. We're gonna
Seeing a lot of friendly faces tonight.
Okay. So getting on the first page of Google is what makes the difference between a full practice and an empty practice. So that's what we got here. Any additions there?
No, that's great.
We're good.
Yeah, and keep posting questions in the chat, guys, and like what you're saying, Heather, around like holy crap, like, I'm last and that sort of thing. Like that's exactly what we're talking about around like, okay, there's a lot of room for growth to move from that level to, to the top, but at least you're showing up. So that's good. Some people don't even show up. So that's way better, at least.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go over the next thing. The next mistake for people who are not finding you is not utilizing your content marketing. And what that means is I'm going to give you some numbers. And everybody always talks about, I'm sure you heard the phrase, content is king. I've heard that. So, and it's true, probably for a long time. But problem is the number of 4.6 billion is a different story. What that number mean is the number of content produced every single day. So think about it. Every single day online, there's 4.6 billion pieces of content being produced every day. And the question is, how are you going to stand out? And that's part of it. That's part of the equation. We're going to get to that. And get to create what's even crazier, as you know, with AI, people are cranking out content left and right and publishing blogs like nothing else because it's so easy now. And it's probably going to go up to probably even 40.6 billion, in the next 10 years. We don't know that. That's kind of crazy. So how you get around that, I have a couple ideas for you. One, we can build software and quizzes, to engage with the people that are coming to your site. So here's one thing I built. It's just for my site. If you can share the screen. You can actually just share the
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you can do that. Nice. You just
There we go.
Okay. So just to give you an idea, this is a quiz I built with AI, with the help of AI, to help people funnel up people that come to my site and just to answer a few questions about their marketing, and then I can book a call with them. And then, for just quick couple of questions, do you have a phone number? Yeah. Do you have authentic images and videos? Yeah. Okay. Do you have a call to action of a page? No. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'll put a link at the email and we'll post it on YouTube. We'll put a link in this, so if you want to check it out. So, and the next thing, I'm going to share here. You can't see the screen? Okay, hold on. So I built Dr. Diane a calculator, and we just published it a month or two ago, and she's already ranking page number 3 for Google. So it's a mold calculator, which I built. and you can punch a number, and it's the software that I built. People love software and quizzes. And just to give, this is an idea to get around the mass production of content that's being used by AI to actually build something different to stand out. That makes sense? Good. Good. Change this back to the slide, and she's driving my, okay.
Yeah. And so I want to make sure, because some of this stuff can get pretty, like heady sometimes. Will you guys, like, what he's showing around like the calculators and all that? Will you guys post in the chat if that makes sense to you as far as what that's doing? I want to make sure you guys are following. Like, is that making sense from a standpoint, from an SEO perspective, from a lead generation perspective? Why having something like that can really make a difference with lead generation? Because again, we're connecting this back. I want to make sure the dots are connected for you. So will you, let's see if anybody's posted something. So what is the calculator doing? Okay. So yeah, so a couple different things here. So yeah, Juliana, you're saying you would love an ADHD calculator. So there's a few different things, right? So one of the things that I'm doing is just purely from like a partnership perspective. So what I'm doing with this calculator, because there's only a few of them out there, is I'm actually right now in conversations with a few different companies, product companies, supplement companies, lab companies, about, hey, here's this calculator. It can help you with your patients. Can we have some sort of more power partner affiliate type of deal? And it obviously has to be very ethical, right? I have to stand by these people's products and vice versa. But from an ethical standpoint, can we form these power partnerships where, okay, I will start putting, because this is ranking really high and this is a huge thing in my industry that people search for. So then I'm starting to look for affiliates also from a lead generation standpoint of like, I will make you the main company in this area, in this arena that will be on this page, right? You'll get exclusive rights to this page as far as in your niche for you to put up your own ads, for me to send things out to your mailing list in exchange for you letting your team, your community know that this is something that's valuable for them. So it's positioning me in a different way to say, okay, well, partnering with people, because that's another thing, lead generation, right, that a lot of people forget about, is like the power partners, right? So then it puts me in a position where it's like, okay, now I have something else that's an asset that people are searching for, that's ranking high. Now I have this asset to partner with other people. So that's one way of how I'm using it from a standpoint of lead generation. The other thing is from a standpoint of what Mike's talking about here is like content and that sort of thing is part of how Google. Are you getting to the dwell time? Are you talking about dwell time?
Yeah, I can bring that up. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, yeah.
So that, yeah, talk about that.
A couple from the Google perspective. So, because to be on page 1 of Google organically, there's, like I said, there's actually over 200 factors, and what she's talking about is dwell time. When somebody does a search for that calculator and they click on it, and they actually spend time and looking in the site, they don't go the average. I'm gonna go back. The average attention span, they just like they'll go back at less than a second. They click on a link and you go back. I'm sure you've done that. You haven't found the answer to go right back. Google actually sees that. So when the user actually spends time on the site, they go, hey, this website's onto something here. And they'll give you better ranking for what they call dwell time. So the more the person engages with your site, the better the ranking. That's another thing I'm gonna add to this is with that quiz, cool stuff. People always want to talk about the cool things and share. That's why they have a Facebook share button. That's why people have, they share in the email. That's why they always have a share button. What that share button does, Google's actually looking at that too. And it sees all the people linking to, let's say, the quiz. And when you have a really cool stuff, it tells Google, hey, this guy, all these people are talking about, Dr. Daniel's quiz here. So they're going to give that to rank page 3 and just probably got a couple of links already. So just to give you an idea, I'm trying to leverage the hit multiple birds with one stone, basically. So just to give you the best bang for the time and money to get ranked on Google. So Anything else to add?
Yeah, just that, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to introduce you guys. I know a lot of you guys already know Mike, but for those of you on the call that don't, this is one of the reasons I've been introducing my community to him. One of many reasons, but like having like, when it's like, well, how do you do this? Right. Like, Heather, that's your question. The biggest thing is like, there's Jot form. There's like all these quiz softwares. I've messed with those quiz softwares for so long. They can do very basic things, like very basic quizzes around like, do you have bloating? Do you have this? They can't spit out a lot of data. Like you should see the one that he has on my libido site. If you go to libidoquiz.com, it's a crazy, amazing quiz. And it takes people through a research-based questionnaire that is basically for addressing or for identifying low libido. So the quiz first is saying it's a research-based quiz. Is it low libido? And then if it's not, if they do have low libido, then it takes them to quiz part 2. We collect their email, and it actually is then from using a bunch of questions I created, ranking them of like low libido is most likely from stress and adrenals, or from hormones, or from cardiovascular, from neurological. And then it links them from there, whatever the answer comes up, then it links them into specific products from my store that are supportive of that, lab tests, content I have. And then they're hugely targeted for exactly the top like reasons why I can help them based upon that. That's because he's a programmer. It's like such a unique thing to have this marketing, this SEO knowledge and be a programmer.
And the one thing I'm going to add to that is about a statistic I saw, it's over 93, 94% of the websites will not be seen by Google, meaning that people will not find 93% of the world's website will not even see your, people will not even find their sites. So it's just going to get even worse with AI. Just to kind of give you an idea, and to get, the time is now to get ahead of the curve to actually take advantage of the opportunity. So, so the next thing I want to make sure that as you start getting traffic, as people come to your site, how it's working. What a lot of people are not doing is tracking. And when you understand what's working, then you can double down the time, the money, and the resources to actually push into it and reinvest it and actually get, your money back and then some. So let's say a patient comes to your office and something's wrong with whatever it is, the thyroid, or whatever specialist you are. What's the first thing you do? You run lab test and you get a bunch of numbers, right? It's going to tell you a story. Same with marketing. I see the marketing data and it tells me a story. What can I do to help, fix the problem? We have a hypothesis, just like what you would from your lab data. You're going to read through it, okay, and then from there, you're going to have a prescription, and then you're going to try to have it fixed. And then sometimes it works the first time, sometimes it doesn't. Same thing with marketing. So just as you guys are in, health specialists in your space, marketing is my health space, so to speak, to help adapt and fix and keep moving forward to get you on page 1 of Google. And when you get on page 1 of Google, you can actually have patients start calling you, and that's money on the table. If you're not tracking, you're throwing money and time away. And anything else you want to add to that?
I think like the level, so it's like somebody books a discovery call on my website, for example, right? So that's the main part of like the main offer on my limedoc.com, book a call. So if you go there, that's part of what I'm saying is like, you want to make sure it's very, very clear. They know what to do. You'll see book a call, book a call, book a call, book a call, book a call. That's the main thing they know they are told to do over and over and over again. So it's very clear. So they book this discovery call. Well, my system auto tags them, right? And my system also auto tags them if they are from a podcast, if they download a free book, if they have been to my store and bought something, if they have bought my my regular, my book back there that's on the screen, my hard copy. I have something in there at the very beginning of the book. It says, take my quiz. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tag them in my system as, hey, I found them I want to get them in my email list, but I'm also trying to tag in the system. So now I can go and I can say, okay, for the people from it, and then ads, of course, as well, right? So anybody that comes in and actually becomes a member of my practice, I know like specifically every month how many people came into my practice, how many people got on the phone with me that came from this ad or from a podcast or from reading my book or from, watching some, like, not everything is trackable. Most things are trackable. And so then we can start saying like, oh, we're getting a lot more traffic from X, Y, and Z. Now we're going to double and triple and quadruple down on that. So that's really what we're saying, like, is important to set up, is like the level of metrics where any person that comes into your practice, you can trace them back and be like, okay, they found me here, they heard me there, they signed up there. And that happened with 50% of the people, like they found me through this way. And that's the largest percentage. So next month, we're doubling, we're tripling down on that. And that's where you can really start putting your money where the mouth is, because you're really, you're working smarter, not harder. And so essentially, for my system that I use as far as tracking all of that, I use the CRM called Active Campaign, super duper robust. And then there's a few other things that, that are wrapped up in there. So the discovery calls, I do not charge for the discovery calls, but I do not do the discovery calls. So the discovery calls my team does. All the visits with me are charged. So, but the discovery calls are a free call with my staff. And that works, that works very well. And I listen to the calls and they, they get bonused on their conversions. I have a whole qualifying process. So it's Active Campaign. I'll put it in the chat. It's amazing. It's super, super robust. Yeah. And I like that, Heather. I like the idea of charging, that's another great way of doing it. I think some way of qualifying leads, so they don't get on the phone with you just because they want free, medical advice. Like there's other ways they can get free advice, read your blog. There's other ways we can help people for free that can't afford things. So there's a lot of other ways I think we can give back to community that way. But as far as your time, you want qualified leads, right? Anything else?
No, I'm okay with that. So cool. And so can you guys put in the chat, how many guys had negative reviews? Oh, wow. So we're gonna go over this. I don't know if you would, I know you had a you want to go to story for that one. We'll go over that.
Yeah, I decided this crazy story. So at one point I was selling really high ticket offers, right? And working in line, people have to work with me for a long time. So I was selling packages of like somewhere between $20,000 and $24,000 a year to work with me. And that was labs, it was supplements included, it was high service, basically get as much as, my time as you wanted. So it was a lot of value for that price point. But I had this client that the last visit we had with her was, it was like, looked in the chart note, everything was like mostly gone, great results, yada, yada. And I think it was during, I think it was because of COVID, because what happened was during the COVID time period where I think a lot of people were stressed. So I imagine my story that I created on what must have happened is maybe she lost her job because I started getting all these hate emails that if I did not give her $20,000, she was going to write a bad review. And it was a ton. And I like tried to give her free services. I like copied and pasted the last thing that she told me in the chart notes around like, you got all this, things. I copied the contract, told her that, still was offering her, all these free services. I even like was telling her I would buy her massages for 6 months. Like I tried all these things, right, to avoid this bad review, but I was not going to give her $20,000. And so anyway, she ended up writing this really bad review, and it was like, that was like triple that, longer than I can fit in the screen. So that was a really bad review. It's not on my current business because that was on my old business that I sold. So that particular review was fortunate that did not follow me, but there are ways we can actually fix those things. So that was my super horror bad, give me $20,000 blackmail review story.
So I guess what if we could find a way to mitigate that? So that'd be pretty good.
That would be good.
Would be really good.
Let's do that.
So I guess number one thing that Google can see is actually having a rapid response. So we have have systems in place to can actually have the reviews coming in, and you can actually respond to that, positive or negative, and that way that Google will actually see that, and that actually rewards you even for a even for the negative review, and if you can find a way to take it offline, take it, have it, let's say if you had a patient had a bad experience, then if you can take this patient offline on a phone call, see if you can resolve it, that's definitely another way. You know, negative reviews are going to happen. You know, the whole point is to try to find ways to mitigate it, because it's one of the key ranking factors for ranking high in Google. And do you guys have a positive review generation strategy? You guys have put it in the chat if you guys have one. If you don't, and the way to do this is just to ask your favorite patient or for a review. Could you please give an online review at Yelp, or online review at doctors.com or whatnot? Google is probably the most important one, but the more you can get on different sites for different Google different review platform, the stronger the stronger your review strategy will be. So, and like I just said here, if you're on the platform, get on all the platforms, as much platform, as many platforms as possible. Start small, but when you're able to get some help to actually get the reviews on multiple platforms, it's gonna help mitigate against the negative reviews. So yeah. So if you're interested in this process here and my services, I do my naturopathic SEO, and what I can do is just get on a call, and we'll just simply find out what's wrong with their site. Maybe there's the SEO thing, maybe it's images, maybe you can find some software gaps, or maybe there's there's a lot of little things I could try to help you diagnose what's wrong with their site. And that's all it is. It's a free call. I know that others have paid thousands of dollars for this thing. So it's not actually, this is not really free, but it's actually a free service I'm happy to offer you guys, because I know that you guys are the best people on this planet. And so the real thing is to find out why people are not finding you. Once people find you, is actually solving the first pillar, the core foundation of your lead generation strategy. Once people can find you, then the rest is that's the next step that Dr. Diane will actually do something different this time. Dr. Diane's going to go over to the next step, the next few stages of the pyramid, and a lot more detail on the conversion. I would do a high-level overview of why your website may not be converting, but there's a lot more to it that Dr. Diane can kind of help you walk through. That it's like an MBA that she'll actually go through this in about 15 minutes. So stick around for this. So yeah, again, just go ahead. If you're interested, book a call, and we'll go from there. So I believe the floor is yours.
Yeah, and I want to say just a little bit more about this call so you guys know too, because I know some of you guys have, yeah, thank you, Julie, for saying that so much. For anybody that's actually booked a call with Mike, it's pretty phenomenal. And like, I've watched what he does as far as prepping for this call and the level of like detail of like going through websites. Like, frankly, at some point, he's not going to do this for free anymore, because as far as this initial call, because I just keep telling him that he's not, he shouldn't do that, because it's so much detail that he's going to do as far as really analyzing your site. And it's like the level of detail that a lot of people will pay thousands of dollars for as far as that. But it's partly like what we do sometimes in business, right? Is like, is developing that level of trust and showing people, because so many people like I went through so many, I don't know about you guys, but finding somebody that knows SEO or web development, all of this stuff. I can't tell you the number of like web developers I went through that would get through like 3 pages, not even finish, and then disappear or things like that. And right. So it's like, and I hear this so many times of like people going through things and like getting charged astronomically and people not finishing their job. And so that's why Mike's doing this, is like, what's the catch? The catch is, yes, I mean, there is like the hoping that he's going to earn your business at the end of it, of course, but regardless, you're not committed to that. And the whole point is that this is like an opportunity to show like that he is above and beyond and really delivering, high value. And it's one of the reasons why, I'm spreading the word for him too, is really that it comes down to, I searched for a very, very long time for somebody that could do solid work in this arena. And it's just, there's unfortunately a lot of people that are just not delivering highly, and people get burned. And I see this in, I see this in practice too. That's why I stopped doing the $20,000 a year packages. And people spend that anyways, oftentimes, because with Lyme, they have to work with me for years, but it's the same sort of thing. I switched away from that because people were telling me they got burned so much. So I started feeling like, okay, well, let me change my model, because I wanted to prove to people that they can trust me, right? And then they can trust me before they spend a lot of money. So that's why I did that. And that's why he's doing these things. So let's continue on here. And as we continue on, just so that this is easy for people, do you want to type in your link there too? So that's here as well for people. Okay. Did you have anything else to say here about this part?
I just wanted one little last line of that. I gave over a little bit early. So the biggest thing I want to point out for this slide here is AI is not going to replace you in your practice, but a doctor that's leveraging and using AI will. So the AI is part of my strategy, but it can't be the whole thing. You can't fully use AI to duplicate, right, everything. We have processes embedded into your workflow, which is what my programming background comes into place, and understanding how Google works to get you ranked. So just, they go beyond just using ChatGPT for a few things here and there. So you really need to have a workflow that takes that leverages the ability to use AI, not just ChatGPT is part of it, but there's so many things that are happening at a fast pace to keep an eye on, to leverage the ability to, have high quality and quantity. And she put it there. So that's the biggest point. And as you all know, technology changes exponentially, and it's an opportunity to actually take advantage of it. So for those who can actually take advantage of technology, or it could be, far better position than those who are not. So that's pretty much, and that's what I got. So.
Okay. And so then to go back, remember how we had the foundations, right, in the beginning of this conversation? And the foundation number one was, of course, like what we've been spending the most time on, right? Because it's the foundation, because it's like, okay, if we don't fix the foundation, if we don't have lead gen, none of this other stuff matters. So then the second thing is, do they even know what you offer? And I'm going to use Heather's website as an example here, since she put this in the chat. And if anybody else wants us to look at your website for some of these other components, please put your website in the chat and we can pull that up. So thank you, Heather, for volunteering your website for this. So we have a good opt-in right there. And if I come, the very first thing I see is Lyme, mold, and autoimmune. So we don't see, like we were on, I don't want to say names. There's nobody on this call that we're talking about, but we saw somebody's website that is in the community. So I don't like to point things out. Very recent, just like in the past couple weeks. And it's like, and it's like, oh, all of these different like packages you could buy and this and that, but there wasn't one word about the main condition or the main couple conditions you treat. And a lot of times what people wind up doing, and I imagine you've heard this before, is like listing all these different conditions. That's a great thing to blog about. That's a great thing to say, oh, autoimmune disease and leaky gut is related, right? So let's have a blog about autoimmune disease and leaky gut. But the main things, like from a Google perspective, like, of course, in holistic medicine, we treat everything. Like people ask me in Lyme disease a lot of time, like, do you treat the adrenals? Like, you can't really treat Lyme if you don't fix cortisol, right? So all of these things are super related, but it's not what you're going to find on the front and center of my webpage, because we have to train Google when to send people to you. So it's not just about the, people coming to your site site because they just heard you on a podcast. So when I look at this, the first thing I see here, and really great job on this, Heather. It's like everything is like Lyme, mold, like come down. There's a video on Lyme, so I'm learning like, okay, lab testing. So it's very, very clear to me initially that this is on the right page as far as what we're doing here. Anything else you would add on that?
Oh, more the I mean, my jam is more the behind the scene. She pointed out the psychology of it. I would be if I were to take an audit, I would be putting in software to kind of understand the rankings and the technical stuff behind the scenes that you don't see, that Google would see it. So I look at more on the eyes from Google. So that kind of like
Right.
yeah.
So that from a Google standpoint, is there anything that you would look here and be like, oh, Google's going to know? Like, what do you think on that?
Are the keywords aligned? Are you putting in the proper keywords for the homepage? That's the first thing. A lot of times they put the input, they don't put the right keyword, and they're just kind of putting in, oh, this is what I'm about this, but if you actually do the right keyword research, you can actually have the chance to rank on Google. I know that Heather actually, I saw that you did rank on Google, but how much traffic are you getting? Are they connected? Are they linked properly into all the other blogs and all the other, the link structure? What about the external links? What about the inbound links? So these are the things that I look for to help get traffic and get, boost your rankings in Google.
And that's something else that Mike taught me so much that I was doing wrong on my website. I'm going to pull up Julie's website now so we can look at this for the mistake number 2 here that people are making and see how you're doing, Julie. Thank you for volunteering your website. But it's one of the things what I was saying as far as what Mike's sharing with keywords that I was doing so wrong with some of the people I work with on web development, because for like Lime, for example, on the back side, it's so easy. And what a lot of people will do SEO wise when they hire somebody or they just have a web developer that doesn't really deeply understand SEO, it's like, okay, for you, Julie, if it's like hair, then on the back side, they'll just say healthy hair. Well, the problem is if there's already, a million people out there in the world doing hair. And then I have no idea if that's accurate or not, but there's a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that are doing hair. It's a very good, super niche, type of thing, but you're not the only one. There's people, that look up hair, skin, and nails all the time, right? It's like, there's a big industry around hair products. So it's like, it could be a shampoo company that has the #1 rated hair, hair site. I'm just throwing these ideas out for the point. The point is, if it's just hair on the back end, there might be so many people already supplying different ways of supporting hair, haircuts, hair conditioner, hair oil, whatever it is, right? And so by doing way more advanced research, then it's like not just about hair, that's the keyword on the back end, is way more detailed than that, so that we know that it's like people that are wanting to work with somebody like you, that you become higher in the demand chain, so you beat out all the supply. And a lot of other people are not doing that. So the mistake we're going on to now is mistake number 3, which is, from this standpoint, do people know exactly the first step? And I think you're doing really good on that. Like, looks like there's 2 different things. One is schedule. 2, you have your hair loss quiz. Learn if it's a fit for you. So I feel very, very sure in looking at this. It's consistent. Let's see where this takes us. Okay, good. So this is another quiz. So the other thing, we just want to make sure, there's 2 different things, and that's where it's like Mike's world. So what do you think about this from a quiz standpoint that is not collecting email right away? Because there's benefits and drawbacks of that.
My understanding, it does ask for the email as an option. I'm just skipping through the other questions here. I remember so if you want the answers at the end, I believe there's an email. You have to collect the email for that.
So another thing to consider on this from just like a lead generation standpoint, Julie, is collecting email at the beginning. So this is good. You finished the quiz, but like what I started noticing on my quizzes is there was like quiz abandonment, right? Where people were not getting all the way to the things. And there's 2 different ways of looking at that. Like, yeah, sometimes by skipping and giving them information, like, okay, you're doing other things here. But like from a web perspective, like one of the things that you could consider doing is split testing this, right? Split testing, like, actually having sometimes where you collect their email right away. And then if you collect their email, then target them, right? Because, and the way to collect email right away is just usually by saying like, this is where your results are going to go, because there is something that is like it's just, there's a lot of points to consider, right? And like, I get really frustrated from like a business coaching standpoint when I have worked with business coaches and they're like, oh, it's like, it works so much better this way. It depends. Like, it depends, but this is why we have processes to actually test this, because it's definitely possible that like some people just don't want to give their email out and your target audience. And by doing this and getting to this thing with the 50% coupon, like it's a great thing to test. Another curiosity though, for me, when I see this is like, okay, well, what happens if you ask for their email early on? How many people do you lose? Do those people that are, what is the amount? Like the big question is, what is the amount of people that are getting here? Is this the only way? This is the only place this code is used. I would make it so this is the only place this code is used. So you can see specifically from this page, how many people actually use this code, right? And then another way you could do it is like, okay, well, if you collect their email on a split test page where you collect your email first thing, and let's say you target this, this type of app thing later on from an email standpoint, do more people convert? Because another theory is sometimes the people that are like so resistant to give their email out are not the people that are going to buy anyways. And then you're missing out on the people that are going to buy, but just like, hey, get busy because their kids scream and they forgot to finish the quiz, that sort of thing. You might miss out on some of that. So,
One thing I'm going to add to that, maybe.
right. That's my point, Christina. Exactly.
Okay.
And then what did you want to add?
The urgency, maybe put some urgency as far as that if you put a coupon, typically expired by a certain time. Urgency might help. Another split test for that to see if I know that might be something to explore.
Yeah. And if you have any more questions, Julie, obviously you're working with Mike. So even if they don't get asked here, we can definitely help you, but feel free to ask your questions. And, I do from like the standpoint of what we're looking at though, I love your website so much. It's a really, really good foundational website as far as I feel clear. I know what you do. You got a lot of proof on there from like, the news stations and those sort of things. So really good social proof. And then from the standpoint of, okay, what are the actions to take? That would just be the one thing that is initially coming up for me. That's like worth trialing, worth trialing to see, is there something that you're missing with not collecting that email right away? Just an idea. But like I said, like I would caution against like with business stuff, like it's not, you might be doing it the most perfect way. The only way to know though is to test it. I'm testing so many things on my website right now. It's one of my favorite things about business. Okay, so the next mistake, yeah, you're welcome. The next mistake that people make as far as like the foundation. So now they're on your website. I'm giggling, Heather. Yeah, not everybody loves the data and the testing in the same sort of way I do from a standpoint of split testing. But so they got on your webpage. They know what you do. They know, they know the step to take, right? So they know what you do. They know the step to take. Everything's clear, who you serve. Now, the next thing is, do they want your offer, right? Do they actually want what you are selling? And this is where I feel like this is where the testing part, I feel like comes in the biggest thing. And it really comes down to listening to your audience. So like, the emails that I get are usually like the meanest ones around like, oh, I wish you would do this, yada, yada, yada. Like the ones that are like, make my blood boil a little bit. Actually, that are just like not usually written in a kind way are actually sometimes the ones that are telling me the most around what the offer is. But the example I'll give you guys is from a standpoint of what I shared as far as Lyme. So I was selling initially these big packages, right? I was selling these packages that were, $20,000, $24,000, for a year of working with me. And I was selling them. Like the first time I tried to sell it was a $24,000 package was the first one I sold. And the first day I went in to sell it and I had like new patient and they just said yes. And I about fell off my chair because I had never sold anything, it's a car. So I never sold anything that big and they just signed up right away. And I was initially like, this is great. This is like sustainable. I get people committed. They're all in. But I was actually going through a period where it's like, even though that was great and I was, I was helping people and all that, one of the things that was still happening is I was still turning a really solid amount of people away. And I kept hearing my customers say, from an offer standpoint, this thing that I mentioned earlier, which is, I really don't, I've already tried a lot of things and I don't trust that this is going to work. And I heard that enough times to say, okay, well, the number one thing then from an offer standpoint, I have to overcome is they've been burned enough. They've tried this enough. They don't want to do this until I can earn their trust. And that's when I switched to the model I'm in now for Lime, which is more of a membership where it's just a flat recurring fee anywhere at this point between $600 and $1,300 a month they spend with my practice. And it is working so much better. And like the first year I did that was the first year we had so much business. That was my first 7-figure revenue year because of the amount of business and the amount of people we were able to help. And it was the main thing that I changed. And that one of the top things I changed was the offer. Right. So I really, all those like emails that we get where people are annoyed and you send out, something in your email campaign and people can complain. I had somebody send me today a gift that told me that I was on drugs because of the email I sent. So, we get very, very funny things sometimes. That one was not helpful. But all of those types of emails, I just really encourage you to pay attention and to say, like, is my offer right for my customer? And another idea is even writing down every time somebody says no, really understanding, asking them why. And another great question is like, what could I, with your situation, what would I need to offer to make this valuable enough to do? And not from a standpoint of trying to sell them something, from a standpoint of trying to understand their pain enough to make sure you have the offer correct. And it might be whatever they say is like, okay, well, a lot of that, they want you to, work for 5 hours for $25 or something like that. Like some of what they say, you might want to throw out the window, but there's usually these nuggets in those questions when people are saying no, or they're sending these emails to make sure your offer is correct. Cause that really is, the biggest thing. And that's what I'm gathering too with like my libido practice is a newer practice, right? It's a newer business. And so I'm sending out a ton of emails and people that are even signing up for these things, I'm actually following up with them and asking them a question, which is, what is the number one thing that you are excited about as far as the work with libido? And I'm asking that specifically because I want to know within people that are coming to my practice, for my libido work, what is the number one thing as far as how I target thing, how I package that they are looking to solve. And so far when I've been asking, these are people that are actually bought my product already, but my product has a lot of different offerings. So I want to know, how do I even tailor it to them even more? How do I even make my offer to them even more? And the answer I'm getting there is, so far, is they want to improve their relationships. They've been in a long relationship for a while and they want to improve it. So I'm like, okay, that's how I need to focus the angle. That's how I need to focus the offer. That's how I need to focus my deliverables so that they are getting the help that they really want and then are willing to invest in my business. And I hear you, Juliana. It's definitely, virtual practice, never take off, not really sure how to do the marketing stuff. Yeah, I mean, solo doctor, I get it. I started as a solo one-woman show too. And it was it was definitely a big thing. And the biggest thing I would say initially is there's like work is really hard on one of the initial things. And Heather's worked with me this way too. One of my initial activities that I often give in people when I do business coaching for them is write down all the tasks you do, like everything you do for your business. Like, if it is buy new light bulbs for your home office, all of those tasks get written down, literally everything. And what are the tasks that are the things that you can get off your plate right away, even if it's hiring somebody at $30 a week? It's like there's a lot of things that you can do overseas for some of those things. And then the marketing stuff, get on a call with Mike, get on a call with Mike. He'll look at some things, like you said, tell you what you're doing wrong, that sort of thing. And then the last marketing mistake that people make, our final thing for today, is what do you do if people are not buying, right? So that's like the final thing is what are you doing if people are not buying? And that basically means what else are you offering them? A lot of people have, okay, somebody gets off the phone and you're done. I have like with my line practice that's been around for almost 15 years, it's a well-developed system and it doesn't start this way, right? But if somebody says, no, they're not interested, they have a whole series of emails for 6 months that are basically offering them free things and lower ticket things, right? And a couple times a month, someone comes back around and they buy, those things. So it's not like it's, crazy amounts as far as it's not supporting my practice, but, does my practice bring in, an extra, few $1,000s a month from just like automatically retargeting people and having those people still get some level of serving on their end. So that's the other thing is like, if they don't buy, if they're not interested in what you have, making sure you have something else to say, hey, this might serve you, this might help you, this might be valuable for you. Otherwise, you're missing on the opportunity to help them and you're also leaving money on the table. So just making sure there's always that other side of things, right? There's so many different ways we can help these people. We're not the right person for everybody. We definitely want to make sure that we're not leaving somebody without the help they need and money on the table for all your hard work when it's possible for that win-win to happen and they get help and you get money for all the hours of labor that I know all of you guys work. And so that's largely, I'm going to put Mike back on here, but that's largely what I wanted to say today. And here's Mike again.
So if we act now, you get a fast action bonus. By this weekend, you get an additional, if you like it, a Google Ads playbook. I'll give you, I'm gonna check out your site and give you like a high level, if you're looking to run to Google Ads, something else I can help you with, and just give you like a quick little, like a Google Ad playbook, so you can actually have an idea how to run ad for your Google practice, especially if you're starting out maybe, or if you are looking to just toe dip, just book a call and we help you out.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'm so glad to see so many friendly friendly faces. I also like friendly places, but I'm glad to see so many friendly faces and appreciate all you guys for being part of this, for enjoying the chat, for being, for being here. I hope you will take us up on our offer, but if not, please reach out at any point if we can serve you and help you in any way. Talk to you all soon. Bye.